Principal, Sriniketan Arts, Commerce College, Nagpur. This webinar would not have been possible without the guidance and support of both the principals. I also welcome viewers on YouTube as well. Teachers tirelessly work throughout the year to impart knowledge amongst students. They conduct many co-curricular and extracurricular activities for all-round development of the students. Teachers have to show their academic works and research activities in the API score sheet to earn the points. API or PBA's grading system are proposed to assess the research and academic contribution of teachers, and so it is very essential for professional development. So this topic is very near to everyone's heart, as the revised API Proforma as per 4th and 5th Amendment has come. Many of us are having difficulties and doubts in filling the information properly in the API score sheet. Thus, this webinar aims to discuss all the issues pertaining to API 2019 at length. Now, it is my proud privilege to introduce our eminent speaker, Dr. Kirtikumar Randive, who is currently working as a professor at the PG Department of Geology, RTM Nagpur University. Dr. Randive is an ardent researcher and interested in scientific research. Dr. Randive was selected as only academician participant from all Indian universities for the 31st Indian Scientific Expedition to Antarctica. He stayed there for 3 months to carry out his research. He has published many national and international publications in the many national and international conferences. He has also authored 2 books which were published by Research Publishing Services, Singapore. Dr. Randive has edited special issues of 2 reputed international journals of geosciences and open geoscience. He works as an editor to these journals as well. Dr. Randive was invited as visiting fellow by the University of Portsmouth, UK. Dr. Randive has received Samaj Vaibhav Puraskar at the hands of Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Shri Prithviraj Chauhan. He is also recipient of Best Teacher Award by RTM Nagpur University in 2017 for his outstanding research contribution. His biodata is a long one of 12 pages. I made it short due to time constraints. Sorry, sir. So now I invite Dr. Kirtikumar Randive to guide the gathering on the topic minimum qualifications for promotion of teachers in the universities and affiliated colleges under the Career Advancement Scheme with reference to UGC notification 18th July 2018 and RTMN Direction 20 of 2009. Over to you, sir. Dr. Randive.
Namaskar. Thank you, madam, for giving a long introduction. Actually, I didn't want any kind of introduction because, by the way, that is not going to help you in the topic that we are dealing with. Although it is a very proud privilege to be in presence of all the eminent people who are my colleagues, by the way, and although they are working in different institutions, different organizations, we are all together for the same cause. See, why I am here, there is a simple reason for that. Principal Madam Dr. Srivala Deshpande and I met in the university for some time, and she came to know that university many times invite me for the assessment of the CAS documents, and maybe that is what prompted her to invite me for the webinar, which can be useful to many of us. And I try to make the things so that everyone can understand. Indeed, there are things which needs to be understood properly so that there is a clarity in the application form that you are filling out. So I would like to go through the presentation because I have taken several points which will be useful to you. I hope that you listen to the seminar patiently. I have also incorporated several frequently asked questions so that the questions are frequently asked by the people who are seeking their CAS promotions, and therefore they will be useful. But apart from that also, I think that there would be some questions which, if possible, will take at the end. So, with your kind permission, may I go to the presentation, please? Can you all see this presentation? I hope you are. Uh, so the webinar is on the criteria for promotion of teachers in the universities and affiliated colleges under the Career Advancement Scheme with reference to UGC notification dated 18 July 2018. And that is the document which is the base for what we are going to see. I have also tried to search whether there is any new thing which is coming, but no, this is by far the latest as far as I know. And then the RTM Nagpur University has also passed a direction number 20 in 2019, which is largely based on the same notification by the UGC. So this is the topic that we are discussing now. And the source of information and references are these ones. That is the direction number 20 I mentioned just now, and the UGC letter also, which is sent to different universities for. It is actually the draft, and then subsequently it was published in the Gazette of India. In the extraordinary part 3, you can see that, and the same Gazette picture of the Gazette you can see here. And then of course the Maharashtra Public University Act. Of course we are not taking much from that, but mostly will be based on this Gazette of India. uh, what we must understand is this. Uh, so, what is the basic criteria of eligibility when one is going from stage 1 to stage 2, which is also called as the academic level 10 to 11. So, 10, the AGP of 6,000 is considered to be the level 10, and then 7,000 11, and subsequently one by one. Okay.
अभी भी आ जाते हैं यार, अभी भी उल्टे सुल्टे क्या उल्टे काम करके नहीं।
बहुत सारा एक और दूसरे आवाज आ रही। पांडे सर कुछ हो सकता है इसके बारे में?
क्या हुआ?
बीच बीच में बोला जा रहा है, डिस्टर्ब हो रहा है काफी।
कौन बीच में बोल रहा है?
पता नहीं, आवाज आ रही और इको भी आ रहा है बहुत। Anyways, we'll continue. When we move from AGP of 6,000 to 7,000, ये क्या है? Okay. So what is necessary when you start from level 10 to level 11? That means your designation changes first of all to the. थोड़ा इसको देखिए धीरज भाई. I cannot read because of this. ये कुछ विंडो क्रॉप हो रहा है बीच में मेरे इसमें, उसकी वजह से मेरा पढ़ना मुश्किल हो रहा है थोड़ा. ओके, फिर से आ रहा है. पांडे सर थोड़ा देखिए इसको. ये विंडो क्यों आ रही है बीच में? इसकी वजह से बोलना मुश्किल आ रहा है. ये बीच बीच में ऐसे विंडो आ जाता है, पीछे होता है पढ़ना मुश्किल, यहाँ से दूसरे विंडो आता है, वो देखिए. Some technical glitch is there because of which I am not able to read what is written on the background. So please maybe pardon for that. Anyways, when we move to the basic eligibility criteria when you are seeking your first promotion, what you need. See, if you have a PhD degree beforehand, or if you get the PhD degree awarded within the first 4 years, you are due for your promotion. That is the first condition. In case you do not have your PhD degree is completed within 4 years, but you have an MPhil degree, or the other professional courses are also included, such as the LLM, MTech, MVSC, MD, and all that. The list is given. So if one of those you have acquired during the 5 years period, then you are eligible for promotion, for applying for the promotion. So that is the 5 years condition. In case you do not either have the PhD degree or any of these degrees, then in 6 years you are straight away eligible without any further necessity of the eligibility criteria. But this is the basic requirement. What else we need to do is you have to undergo an orientation course of 21 days. That is 3 weeks orientation course is compulsory. And apart from that, you also need to do one of those which are given below. You can see these ones. Either you attend a refresher course or a research methodology course, or any two of these ones which are mentioned here, that is the workshop related to syllabus upgradation, training, teaching, learning, evaluation, technology programs, and all those which are given. So at least you need to undergo such a training for 10 days, that means 2 weeks, or you can also have an option of doing such 5 days workshops or the courses, at least 2, so that the total will be the same. Or there is also another option which is given, is that you can also complete one of the development of e-contents of 4 quadrants, that MOOC, that is multiple open online courses which are there. If you search on the web, you will find information on those courses, and that is easy also sometimes, because of your engagements in your academic activities. Sometimes you do not get the leave for attending those courses, so you can do these courses which are of 5 days, and you can easily manage those courses. They are quite friendly. So now in these new guidelines, you have a lot of flexibility, as well as they are quite helpful. Earlier there used to be the refresher orientation courses for 3 weeks each, but now that condition is not there. If you are a university teacher, then additionally what you need to do is you have to at least publish one research paper in the peer-reviewed journals or the UGC listed journals. Remember at this point of time that the UGC listed journals are all those standard journals which are published by the standard publications, and they are there mostly indexed by the Thomson Reuters. Then when that is the basic criteria, and then apart from that there are criteria 1, 2, 3 that also we'll discuss elaborately. But first of all, we'll talk about the basic eligibility criteria. Now next is the new criteria specifically mentions this thing, that a teacher shall be promoted if he or she has the satisfactory or good grade in the क्या विंडो सर, ये विंडो निकल सकती है क्या यहाँ से? General performance, which is, and they say that you should have satisfactory or good, anyone will do. If not all, at least last 3. That means if you are going for your evaluation in 5 years, so 3, 4, 5 years, 3rd, 4th, and 5th year of your evaluation, you should have good or satisfactory. Okay. But that good or satisfactory is not interpretative. It is actually quantifiable. You can quantify it using by the table which is called as table 1 in the new notification. Okay, so we'll talk about that new notification just here. They have mentioned it also. You can see that as prescribed in appendix 2 of the table 1 and performance based appraisal system, both, not just one. That means the table 1 as well as PBAS. The promotion is recommended by the screening cum evaluation committee. That is the condition. Ultimately, a screening committee is there. That committee will be there, which will see all your documents, and accordingly they will recommend it. Mostly they will recommend if otherwise in order. Now what they mention here is table 1. We'll discuss that table 1 here, because every subsequent promotions you need to clear this one. So what is that table 1 which is given? We'll discuss it here. So they say that your good or satisfactory teaching, how that can be calculated. So there is a simple formula. That is the number of classes taught divided by number of classes allotted throughout the year or throughout the semester, whatever, because year we will consider, because the year we consider for your promotion. So in an academic year, how many classes were allotted to you, and among those classes, how many classes you actually attended or you taught. If you multiply this by 100, you will get a certain percentage. That percentage, if more than 80, that will be good. If it is between 70 and 80, that will be satisfactory. Below 70, it is not satisfactory. And if you have below 70% of these teaching assignments, then you are not eligible for the promotion, if you are not having it at least for the last 3 years before the promotion. This is one part. And part 2 is the student related activities. Now what are the student related activities? There are many activities they have mentioned. Sir, ये window कैसे जाएगा यहाँ से? See, one of those is the administrative responsibility. That is, if you have shared some administrative responsibilities, for example, you are chairperson somewhere, you are dean, you are director, you are coordinator, you are warden, because any one of these responsibilities you will generally have. You would have shared. Even at initial stages, you can have shared that responsibility. Second is सर इसका कुछ करो ना अभी विंडो पर, मुझे दिख नहीं रहा पीछे का. Second is the examination evaluation. We almost invariably have to do the examination duties in some form or other. Maybe you go. Invariably you will be engaged in some examination work, so you can always claim that. So examination related work can be anything. Even you can claim that you were appointed as officer, co-officer for some duties in the university or maybe in the colleges which are related to examination. You can use that here, that you were involved. Of course the condition is that you need to have a documentary evidence for that. And then these student related co-curricular activities or extension activities or field based activities, such as for example, in all colleges as well as in university departments also, we have student clubs, then career counseling cells, or the NCC, NSS, community services kind of things, or maybe the student seminars and all those activities, they are there and you are invariably part of that, because university administration or the college administration, they will invariably employ you in some of these activities. So just keep the record of all the documents that you have, so you can have it. Or organizing seminar, conferences, workshops and all those things, you are always the part of that. Maybe, but not at the first stage. You cannot be guiding the PhD students unless you have the PhD degree yourself. You are having that, and if you are also guiding the PhD student, then that is a wonderful thing. Of course these things will be needed for your promotion. And then at least one single or joint publication in peer reviewed or UGC listed journals, but that condition is not for the college teachers. Please be reminded of that. Now among these 6 activities, 6 or 7 or 8 activities, you need, if you have the documentary evidence that you were participating in more than 3 of these activities or 3 and more of these activities, then your score will always be good. If between 1 and 2, you will be called as satisfactory. But if you have not participated in any of these activities, then your score will automatically be non-satisfactory. But then it is not possible. Being in the colleges, you are always down with so much workload. Only thing that you please consider it as my simple advice, that keep all the documents, all the records ready with you. Any small single document can be very helpful for your promotional aspects. Now, that is one thing. Then we have a little mention about the PBAS system. That is the clubbing categories 2 and 3 together. Both categories are equally necessary and you have to keep track of this. The new direction clearly affirmatively says that there will not be a separate category 3. Rather, they recommend that the category 2 and category 3 be clubbed. There will not be any separate point system for category 2 or for category 3. That is what they exclusively mention. The criteria for this together is for university teachers, you need 40 points during the assessment period. That is 4, 5 or 6 years as the case may be. And for college teachers, it is 20 points. Going to the next is that will be, you will be moving now from stage 2 to stage 3. That means academic level 11 to academic level 12. So that means your AGP will jump from 7,000 to 8,000. Both will be in the PB3 only, PB 3. But designation, there is a slight change in designation. All are assistant professors, but still there is some change. So at 7,000 grade, you will be called as the assistant professor senior skill. And now at when you have AGP of 8,000, you will be designated as the assistant professor selection grade. That is possible, or simply called as academic level 12. Even all these designations are acceptable. In this case, there is an incubation period of 5 years. That means you shall be staying in this category for 5 years. 5 साल कम से कम आपको रहना ही है उसमें, and when you complete the 5 years, you are eligible for that. It is as simple as that. So in the earlier assessment period, it was 4, 5 or 6, but now it is fixed. You need 5 years to spend in this category. And then again, you follow the same, the performance table 1. You remember that just now we have seen. There that satisfactory or good grade is necessary. There would be some apprehensions about this also. I will clear it now or maybe afterwards also during this presentation, that what shall make the actual teaching classes that we'll talk about. The eligibility criteria, one is compliance with the table 1, and second is the promotion is recommended by the screening and evaluation committee. That will invariably be there. We need to be screened and evaluated. Unless the committee recommends, unless the members of the committee forms a panel and sits and takes a decision, it will not be entertained. So that is a condition, rather it's a procedure, not a condition also. In addition to that, the difference is if you are a university teacher, you need to have a PhD degree at this stage. That means for college teachers, PhD degree is not mandatory, but for the university teachers, it is compulsory that you should have obtained your PhD degree within the first tenure of 4, 5 or 6 years, whatever it is there. So once you have this PhD degree with you, then you can apply for the promotion. Apart from that, what else is necessary is that you need to have at least 2 of the following courses. That means the courses almost same as what we have discussed earlier, but the thing is that in the stage 1 to stage 2 promotion, one 3-week course was necessary. In this case, the 3-week course is not necessary. Instead of that, you need 2-week 2 courses. That means 2 courses each of 2 weeks duration or 10 days duration. They clearly mention it. So they can be refresher course, orientation course, faculty improvement course, upgradation technology, and whatever. They have recommended so many of them, so you have a lot of choices. Or MOOCs courses and then modules. You can of course obtain this information about the MOOCs when you just log on and search for that, and they are very helpful, what I can suggest. So there are plenty of options. The difference between stage 1 to stage 2 and stage 2 to stage 3, one of those is they have reduced this bar, but they have increased this bar. If you see at the bottom of the presentation, for university teachers, you should score 100 points within 5 years in category 2 plus 3. Earlier it was category 3 only, but now there is no category 3 separately. It is always category 2 plus 3. So in that, university teacher has to obtain 100 points and a college teacher has to obtain 50 points. When you move away from this, when you have crossed this hurdle also, then you go from stage 3 to stage 4, or what we call as the academic level 12 to academic level 13. In that, your designation changes. Your designation, which was up till now assistant professor selection grade, it will now become an associate professor. This is by far the major jump if you consider it financially, because you will be moving from pay band 3 to pay band 4, which is now 9,000. Looks like in AGP it is only 1,000 jump, but in the grade pay there is a huge jump, and you all know about those. I'm not going to details of those. But then this is the most important stage. And since this is the most important stage, there are the bars also quite stricter for this. The minimum incubation period for this is 3 years, or cooling period, whatever you say. That means you have to stay in this grade of the assistant professor selection grade for 3 years, then you are eligible for the associate professor. The eligibility criteria, irrespective of all, means whether you are university teacher or college teacher, you need to have a PhD in the subject relevant, allied, or relevant discipline. That means you are a science teacher, and if you are obtaining PhD in history, that has no meaning. So that thing has to be kept in mind. A PhD in a relevant discipline. Okay. So if you are maybe having your chemistry as a general discipline, and you are specifically having environmental chemistry PhD, then that's okay, because it is relevant. So similarly, and then the table 1 stays without exception that you should have the satisfactory or good grade, and that is easily achievable. Then the since here this will not be 5 years, this will be 3 years, because the last, if you are considering the period of your grading, that means that we consider for satisfactory or good grades, the last consecutive 3. That is what the simple thumb rule is there for that. But this time the major change is that there is no screening committee. This is a selection committee. That means they will select you based not only on your documentary book, but also on your performance in the interview. So you have to face the interview, that is for sure. But apart from this, there is one more thing that you should also do, that you have to undergo some training program. In this case, more relevant, you only have to do one during the last 3 years, and that will be of the minimum 10 days duration, 1 of 10 days or 2 of 5 days. That will be all right, but any one of those will do. So the condition remains same. Again, just having a little rewind. If you are moving from stage 1 to stage 2, there is one 3-week course, compulsory orientation course, plus a 2 weeks course. Then in case of stage 2 to stage 3, 2-week course 2. In stage 3 to stage 4, there is only one 2 weeks course. Okay, that is as simple as that. Then if you are a university teacher, your job is slightly harder. You need to have minimum 7 publications, out of which the 3 publications were published during your assessment period, that means during the last 3 years. That is mandatory. Apart from that, if you are a university teacher, it is necessary that you would have obtained your PhD 2 stages back only. So you already have obtained your PhD, and now it is expected that you take some students for guiding the PhD, and that is the condition which is laid down here. That is evidence of having guided at least one PhD candidate. That is only for the university teachers, not for the college teachers. During these 3 years, what we need to do is that you need to obtain 90 points. And the college teachers, they need to obtain 45 points in the last 3 years. If you read the document, you will see that at least 70 points, means when the table says, PBS table says it is 90 points, it is at least 70 as per table 2 in appendix 2. We'll talk elaborately about the table 2 as of what we talked about table 1 also. The table 2 is by and large the category 3 indicator only. That means if you are satisfying table 2, it is as good as you are satisfying the category 3. And therefore, you can have the 70 points from the so-called category 3 or so-called table 2, and another 20 points you can borrow from category 2. That is what seems to me. Next, when you are switching over from this to that, till now, the college teachers who were dormant, I mean, not actually, but in the sense of this academic progression, which I am mentioning, about the research, there is a wake-up call now, because there is one such condition for the uh, college teachers also that a minimum of 10 research publications in peer-reviewed or UGC listed journals, out of which 3 research papers shall be produced during the assessment period. So that is what they say. Uh, Now designation on promotion will of course change from associate professor to professor full-fledged. So everyone is eligible for that. And the academic level will change from AL13 to AL14. Your pay band, it changes from AGP 9,000 to 10,000, and these are, everyone knows about this. Eligibility, of course, you should have a PhD degree in your subject, irrespective of. And then, as mentioned, your research should also be there. Then there is a condition of minimum 110 research score in appendix 2 appendix 2 table 2, and that is only for the university teachers. That means 110 points out of the 120 points should be from this course from the table 2. Now once you are associate professor, you are almost free from going through any uh, training courses. All you need is a good grade, and by the same calculation method which is given in table 1 and appendix 2, and then the promotion to the post of professor is recommended by the selection committee. So selection committee is a must for this. When you are a university teacher, there are additional responsibilities to you. That is minimum of 10 research publications in the peer-reviewed or UGC listed journals, out of which 3 research papers should have been published during the assessment period, the same thing. And then evidence of having successfully guided the doctoral candidate. You should have guided, at least one person should have completed PhD under your supervision. That is the point. So that is for university teachers, 120 points, and for the college teachers, it is 60 points. It is as simple as that. The next grade is not for the college, but for the university teachers. But that too has to be literally implemented, because if we see the Nagpur University, we don't have any senior professors till yet. Of course, some people have made applications. That's all right. It will happen. That is also all right. But as of now, there is no senior professor. But it is possible. If you want to apply for the senior professor, what you need to have, the criteria is very simple. The residence time is 10 years. Once you have become professor, from professor to become senior professor, you need to spend some 10 years in the same cadre, in the same position. Designation, of course, changes from, a little mistake here, from professor to senior professor. And then they say that during this time, you should have minimum 10 publications. So that's not a big ask, because once you are a professor, you will have number of publications. That is technically, theoretically, you should have many of those. But also, practically speaking, the professors are so busy in so many activities in the university, this committee, that committee, going here, that, there. So maybe the things can happen. That is why the consideration is there. So you need a cozy 10 publications throughout this period. Then what they say is that the promotion shall be based on the academic achievement, favorable review from the 3 eminent subject experts. Your documents will be sent to subject experts who are not less in cadre than the senior professor. And then the system will follow again the selection committee and all that will happen. But such cases in university teachers, category 3, no. And for college teachers, it is not applicable. No point as such. Your eminence will be judged by the committee. Now, having understood the basic criteria for promotion, eligibility, not promotion, eligibility, how you will be eligible for that. But for that also, you need to fill up your application. And what will be that application? That application will be simply the PBS, that means performance-based appraisal system. Performance-based appraisal system, PBS. This format consists of 3 parts: Part A, Part B, and Part C. So the Part A is the general information, and that general information is very simple. Just like filling up your normal application form, your name, your father's name, your department. But what is more important in this case is your current position and your grade pay that you have to mention, whether it is level 1. If you are at level 1, then which position you want to go to, so that will be the level 2 that you have to mention, and what is your date of eligibility for that promotion, so that you have to mention. Apart from that, there is not much in this. You can always fill up this one, and more on your educational qualifications. This data will always be ready with you, your degrees and all those. Very simple, normal application without many implications. Then previous appointment positions, if you have held anything, if you are applying for the post of professor maybe, then you will always be having this information when you were selected as the assistant professor, from what date you served there, and then have gone to stage 2, then stage 3, and subsequently. So this is a simple information, and your experience and all that. But what is important to note is that the part A of the PBA system does not have any score. You need not score anything in that, but you are required to enclose the necessary documents such as degree, diploma certificate, net set certificate, caste, validity, PhD नोट etc etc etc. लेकिन प्रोफेसर लोगों में जनरली ये होता है कि ये तो सब दे चुके हैं, हम फिर से क्यों मांगते हैं यूनिवर्सिटी. See, things are not like that. See, if I am a member of the committee and if I am sitting there, can I ask the entire system to go and find out, and they will get it Xerox there already? Staff crunch is everywhere. So I mean, the point is that it is for the candidate to make sure that his correct documents they reach to the correct people. That is why please don't worry about this. You have to give all the documents, no original documents, only Xerox copies attested. You have to submit. You can, if there are many documents, you need not attach the entire documents, because the authority, for example, if you are going to principal and you say that these are the 200 documents I want to get it attested from me, he will say I don't have time for that. So what you can do is that you take one document signed from him, whatever signs are required, and say that I certify this, yeah, there are so many of them are there, and others they will follow. So that can be possible. I mean, the option is yours. If you have a person who can make 100, 200 signs, it's fine. It's good to have such people around. Anyways, but make sure that your documents are in order. That's the only thing which I want like to mention here. Now we are coming to the fourth part of it. The part B, which we call as the academic performance indicator. Okay. In this part B, there is the category 1. The category 1 says the teaching, learning, evaluation related activities. Table 1, which we talked about, is necessary. It is there, it will be there. But apart from that, you also have this category 1, and there are certain points which are mentioned here. You have to score 20 points from level 1 to level 2 if you are a college teacher. So how you will obtain that, those 20 points? Say, but that those points are from category 2 and category 3, not from category 1. Okay, so to this category 1, the table 1 is a good answer, even if your points really does not matter. But even then, how you calculate them? As per table 1, it is said direct teaching, because we are teachers. So direct teaching is what is most essential for us. So how you will calculate? Say, if you are in, say, Nagpur University, for example, we have vacation time of 1.5 months in summer and 1 month in winter. So 2.5 months are already gone. And likewise, 1 more month you spend for the, say, for tours or other things where direct teaching has not taken place. So to my estimation, I said, let us consider that 8.5 months you are actually spending for the direct teaching, out of which we can say that comes to around 34 weeks. So 34 weeks calculation we are doing. If you are an assistant professor, your workload is 16 hours per week. Okay, maybe for college teachers, I think it is same, 16 hours per week. And then if you multiply this 34 weeks and 16 hours per week, that comes to 544 hours per year. So in one academic year, your task is to engage 544 hours per year. That is what my estimate goes with. But if you are an associate professor, you will have 14 hours per week. And if you are a professor, you will have 12 hours per week. So the target slightly changes to 476 and 408. Okay. But if you are an assistant professor, maybe you roughly take this as, maybe you can have your own calculation. I don't mind, but this is what goes to my mind. That is what I'm telling you. So this is what I have. Out of that, how many I actually engaged? Now I'm giving you one example. For example, you have engaged say 500 classes per year, and that is according to your attendance registered. You may have a system or a mechanism to verify it, or maybe if your principal simply signs that okay, this is what is done, doesn't matter. You should have a documentary evidence for this to happen, that you actually have engaged so many classes. So the formula says, this is the formula table 1, if you remember, that number of classes taught divided by number of classes allotted into 100. Number of classes allotted is this 554 we can take, and the 500 is the actual number of classes that you have taken. So your score comes to 91.91%. That is a good score because it is more than 80. It should come, it will come, because there are so many things that you can do. If for example you have taken leave is your right, so that period has to be excluded. So therefore, unless you are doing it on purpose, or really you are not interested in teaching, or you are not coming to the college at all, maybe only in those cases your performance cannot go beyond satisfactory. Otherwise it will always be satisfactory. It will always be good, I would say, but definitely it will be satisfactory. Now that is about the table 1. Table 1 says it's good or satisfactory, go ahead. They will not bother about the category 1 scores anymore, because that is not they are looking for. But yet you have to fill up the form, and in that form what you will do, you will have to calculate certain points, some figure you have to give. Now considering the same thing, if you had 100 hours, you would have worked for 91.91, but the total maximum score is 60. That means out of 60 you have to calculate. So simple cross multiplication if you do, it comes to be around 55.14. That means out of 60 your score will be 55.14. So you can write here 55.14. I remind you once again, these points do not matter much. What matters is this figure, good, satisfactory. Okay, so let us not bother about it, but at the same time you should know how it is calculated. That is why I have done this for you. Next, the main thrust was this. When Deshpande madam called me, she actually wanted to ask only about this thing, that how the hours to be converted into the score. So that exercise I will try here. So the point B says of the category 1, the examination duties, that is, for example, question paper setting, invigilation, evaluation of answer script, as per allotment, whatever is given. Maximum score is 15. Now, it has to be calculated, whatever hours you have spent on that, divided by 7.75. You check the documents, PBAS, and you will find that formula. Sometimes it is 10, sometimes 7.75 or 7.5, whatever it may be. So for example, we consider, because what I have seen in one of the documents, it is 7.75, so we'll go with that. For example, I have spent some 100 hours in all the duties. For example, I have evaluated the question papers, or I have participated, for example, in invigilation work, or maybe I have set the question papers, evaluated a PhD thesis, and all those activities which you can put it here. Okay, so we have to convert everything into hours, and how it is possible. So I have taken some examples to show you. So examples on the concluding hours. Say question 1, for example, if you had gone for conducting examination at Pandit Ravi Shankar Shukla University, Raipur, as an external examiner, okay, how much credit points you can claim? Okay, because we know that examination is only for 3 hours. If you take 3 hours divided by 7.73, your score will come in points, which is not justifiable. So in that case, although your examination was for 3 hours duration, but you actually spent 12 hours for journey, na? So 6 hours going, 6 hours coming back. Maybe that time you have taken, we have not taken other relaxing time. Okay, forget it. But you have already spent that much time on that, so you can claim that 12 plus 3, 15 hours, and 15 divided by say 7.75, it will come nearly 2 points. Fair enough. Okay. Now maybe we have another case. For example, if you are an internal examiner of the final practical examination, then how many hours you can claim? You have conducted your internal examination. Because you are an internal examiner, you have a lot of things to do. The practical examination will be of 3 hours duration. You might be spending another 3 hours for setting the exhibits or experiments or instrumentation, whatever, if you're a science teacher, or maybe if you're from other disciplines, you will have your own engagements in that. You might be spending another 3 hours on that, and after examination you will be evaluating the answer book. So you will use the same formula as your university says. For one bundle of 30 copies, the 3 hours roughly, and two bundles maybe 6 hours. So whatever time you spend, depending on number of students, so maybe another 3 hours for that. So the pre-examination arrangements and question paper for 3 hours, then duration of examination, that is another 3 hours, and valuation of answer book 3 hours. So total 9 hours. So almost 1 point you can claim. It will be more than 1 point. So for conducting examination, you will get some point on that. Don't worry about 1 point or 2 point, because your total is also not much. It is 20 only if you are a college teacher, and getting this in 5 years time is not a big task at all. You will always be overwhelmed. You will always have more points than what is required here. Now, third case, for example, if you are a member of the moderation committee and work as a moderator for 10 days, you are every day you are coming from, for example, Umred to Nagpur, something like that, every day, because you are moderator, and that moderation work has went upon for 10 days. Then how many points you can claim? As a moderator, you will be working for 6 hours a day. And if working for 10 days, your score will be 6 into 10, that is 60 hours. Okay. However, if you have travel for attending this duty, you can also add that travel time, say for 3 hours every day. So 30 more you can add. So roughly it will be 90 hours. So reasonably you will have around 10 points on that. Then question 4, for example, if I am an examiner of PhD thesis for the other university, how many works I can claim? No, this thing is such that it might be very subjective. For example, one person can take 12 hours to complete a thesis. He is sitting in one go. He has completed. Said tomorrow I don't want to see this thesis again, so I'll sit the whole day and complete the task. That's one way of doing it. Or maybe there's another person who says, okay, every day is devoting some time or other. Maybe he is recalculating. Is very critical. For example, at the most he can take say 40 hours. He is taking. Total hours I'm taking, not 2 days, because entirely day and night you will not work. No one will work. So 48 hours for that. So how we are considering the total focus needed for the evaluation of PhD thesis, I think personally that claiming between 24 and 30 hours is already, if you have a PhD thesis for evaluation, you can say that I have spent say something like 24 hours or 30 hours on that. That's fairly all right. Now next is C. B was examination, A was the direct teaching. Now C is the innovative teaching learning methodology. What innovation you have made? Something new. Innovation is which is not popular, which is not in vogue. So that is what we call as innovative, something which you have thought of and probably it is very effective. So that is innovative. In that, if you have made some innovation in your teaching, that can also be credited. Say, it has to be calculated actual hours spent per academic year divided by 10. So if, for example, you have spent 200 hours doing that, the score will be 20. Anyways, something like that, a figure. Now, what you can include in that? Because you need to have supporting documents for everything. Okay. Now, if you have created any mobile app related to teaching, learning, evaluation, it's a very good thing, very innovative thing. How many people can make a mobile app for doing a particular kind of thing? So it's a innovative one. Whatever hours you take for developing that, you can claim. It can be reasonable, but you can still claim 20 hours, 30 hours. You can claim whatever it is, whatever, because you have done it. You know how much time you have spent, so you can directly take it, divide by 10, and those many points you can get it converted in. Second thing, if you are using a social media as a platform, many of us they use Facebook groups we make, WhatsApp groups also we make. You can very much use this. If you are using social media as a platform for dissemination of knowledge, that can be claimed here. For example, a Facebook close group involving you and your class students. ऐसे नहीं कि दोस्त लोग हैं, भाई लोग हैं, family members है और वो सब मिलकर भी एक group है, कुछ student भी उसमें है. No, that will not make a sense. It is an exclusive group, and that should be demonstrable by the documentary evidences. Take a screenshot of that or something from that. or maybe you can email your chat, something like that, and that chat can be produced. Just a documentary proof is necessary for that. Similarly, a WhatsApp group which you as an administrator and all the class members as the members, class students as the members, they should be there. No other people should be allowed in that group, and no other discussion. Happy birthday, Raghav, happy birthday, Rahul. It does not make any sense. You should be talking about teaching, your assignments, your innovations, maybe new breakthroughs in your field, maybe new discoveries, something like that. So if you are discussing that, a dedicated group, then definitely it can be claimed and it will be a legal claim. Keep the proof of that. Now next tip is, if you are doing some innovative work for adult education, extension activity, it can also be claimed. Because near your household you will get the people who are not learned even now. So you can do something to them, but keep the proof, maybe some photographs, maybe something which will show that you have actually taken this, you have actually done this activity. Another thing is that if you are teaching underprivileged or unprivileged children, that can also be claimed. That is a very good activity, and not just for you, but for your college, for your university, for your organization. It will be a very proud thing. They can proudly show that this is our activity that we are doing, and at the same time the teachers, like, you can also claim it as your help. So both are symbiotically benefited from this. Note, however, that a documentary proof, example mobile screenshots, photographs, certificates from the local administrative authority will be required to prove if you have gone to some village, and then take the help of Sarpanch. You inform him, you conduct that activity, and then ask him to sign that you have done a particular activity. That's fair enough. Now, the category 1 is done. Only 3 things: direct teaching, examination, and innovative. Category 1 is over. Now coming to the category 2, this is very important. Category 2 as well as category 3. Now, why it is important? Because it has direct implications. It will add to your score. Okay, so these points will be counted, and it can be a game changer for you. That is why it is important. So listen carefully. इसमें है कि professional development, co-curricular, and extension activities. I was mentioning about extension activities. So if you have done some extension activity for the villages, why you will claim it in category 1 where it is not necessary? You claim it in category 2 because you will get some points which you need for this. So how to go about this? So discipline related co-curricular activities, example field work, study visit, student seminar, all those things you can claim here. And again, it has to be converted into points. The hours spent on the particular activity has to be converted. So I have taken some examples for that, how to go about it. Example 1, if you have conducted field excursion or study tour for 3 days, ठीक है, आप बाहर गए हैं स्टूडेंट्स को लेकर, है ना, आज निकले, आज 6 बजे शाम को आप निकले हैं, कल आप उधर ही रहे, कहीं बाहर ही हॉल्ट किया, और परसों आपको शाम को 6 बजे पहुंचे. दैट इज द, इफ यू हैव कंडक्टेड अ फील्ड एक्सकर्शन or study tour, say for 3 days outstation, you started at 6 p.m. on day 1 and returned on 6 p.m. on day 3. So your score will be, पहले दिन 6 घंटे, 6 से रात को 12 बजे तक 6 hours on day 1, 24 hours on day 2, and 18 hours, वो 6 और ये आगे. So इस तरह से you will have the 42 hours total. I mean, just calculate, maybe 1 or 2 places here missed also, but you have to calculate that properly, and that can be considered. So those many hours you have spent, although you are not always doing some or other activities, but your time is spent for this activity only. That is why it is accountable. And dividing this by 10, say 42, if you have 40 points, so 4.2 points you will always get. So that is a good thing. Second example, if you are guiding 3 students for seminar, you always do that. You give 1 hour each to every student for 3 days. You have to quantify it. ना, वो कभी भी स्टूडेंट आया 5 मिनट आया, फिर थोड़ी देर के बाद और 10 मिनट उसने खाया, फिर आधा घंटा आके बैठा, इट्स ओके, बट यू कैन नॉट do those detailing. So you say ki roughly 1 hour you are spending on one student 1 day, and this continued for 3 days. So what I can claim is that 3 into 3 students, 3 hours and 3 days. three students, three students, 1 hour, 3 days. Sorry. So it goes to 9 hours. So you will get around 1 point for that activity also. Next example. You are teacher in charge of annual gathering of students. You always will be. Most of you will be, or maybe some sports event. If your physical education teacher is not there in your college and that responsibility is given to you, maybe you need a document for that. So if you are a teacher in charge for the annual social gathering, you devoted time for setting dance, drama, or songs, etc. Selecting the songs, making this and that. So many things they are involved, and you always invariably you do those things. You devoted approximately 2 hours. हर दिन 2 घंटे आपने दिए उनकी डांस की प्रैक्टिस कराना है, ये सब कराना है, and you were doing it for 15 days. You can claim always that. So simple calculation goes. So 2 hours for 15 days, that counts to 30 hours. So your time is not wasted. Your time is well accounted. You will get 3 points for that. So don't think that anything that you have done was a wastage, or what we popularly say is a thankless job. It is not a thankless job. The thanks is coming in the form of 3 points. Next example. If you are in charge of the sports activity and in absence of your physical education teacher, or science activity, for example, Avishkar is there, you were participant, or maybe organizers in some capacity or other. You devoted time such as 1 hour per day for 15 days. It's possible. You should have some evidence, someone to sign it. So your claim goes to 15 hours. That means 1.5 points you will get for this. So every activity counts. All you need to do is to be very punctual about documentation. The time your activity is done, immediately go and get the certificate, get it certified. If you go after 6 months, then the authority will say kal aana, parso aana, that will go on. So immediately do it. That is only for your own good. Note, however, that one more example. Say, for example, you carried an awareness program on COVID-19 to local villagers. You are staying in some village and maybe, in some city, and nearby villages you had gone and conducted some awareness program. Say you have taken 3 villages. Now, considering the time involved in the activity and transportation, जाना आना और उस activity के लिए समय देना, सब मिलाकर your score will be say 3 villages and 4 hours for each activity, so 12 hours. So again, your score will be 1.2. So that is how any activity you do is accountable. You generate a document for that, maybe take some photograph. This will not only help your own career progression, but it will help your organization, your college, your university to showcase their own achievements. So it is that kind of win-win situation for both of you. Note, however, that a documentary proof, example letter from the principal, any other competent authority, a document showing that particular event had taken place, photograph of the activity, endorsement from the sarpanch or BDO, etc. will be required to justify your claim. There is no other way. Now, in the category 2 of professional development, co-curricular and extension activities. So this is quite specific, but some people are actually doing it. For example, the administrative responsibilities, such as dean or an officiating principal or chairman, although you are a principal officiating and you are also taking classes and additionally doing that duty, that means you have to justify both. You cannot claim because you are not full-fledged principal or something like that. So you have to claim whatever you have done as the professional activities. So you take those points from here. Category 1 doesn't matter any longer. What matters is category 2. So if you are not doing anything in direct teaching, because being principal also you are doing some work for your college or the academics, so that can be accounted here. And how that is, you are dean, you are principal, you are chairman, you are convener, teacher in charge or something, or similar other duties. But don't always claim everywhere. For example, if you are saying you are teaching a teacher in charge for the gathering, you have taken already 30 points in gathering, and now again here you are claiming. So one can point it out. You cannot claim the same activity at 2 places. You decide. I will advise you to go for the category 2 because that will help you instead of category 1. Now I give some examples of how to go about it. Say if you are a member of the board of studies during the appraisal period, maybe at level, if not level 1 is not possible, maybe at level 2 or maybe level 3 or and above, it is always possible that you are a member of board of studies and all that. You can claim that the time spent on attending BOS meeting, for example, there were 6 meetings during your entire period. each of 3 hours duration. वो तो दिन भर नहीं चलती है, 3 घंटा is okay. So say for 3 hours duration, you require 3 hours for traveling to venue, है ना. आप आसपास के कई जगह कोंडाई में रहते हो या कहीं और रहते हो, वहां से आपको आना जाना करना है. So maybe you can claim another 3 hours for coming and going and like that. So your time spent will be 6 meetings, 3 hours each, and 3 hours for your travel time. It comes to 54 hours. So you can claim 5.4 points. That's a big amount because you need whatever points, you can always take it from here also. Second example, if you were a member of the University Senate during your appraisal period, you attended 6 meetings, each of 6 hours duration, and spent 3 hours traveling. क्योंकि Senate की meeting दिन भर चलती है, 6 घंटे आप उसमें देते हो. So it will be 6 into 6 into 3, it will be 108 hours. So 10.8 times. That means if you are a senator, if you are a Senate member, you will be benefited by these points because you are teaching it and other things they will suffer maybe a little bit. So you can recoup that from these points. Note, however, that a document recoup will be required to justify your claim, but if you are in this cadre, definitely you will have the letters from the competent authorities. Now next is in this category 3, professional development, such as participating in seminars, conferences, short terms, training, courses, talks, lectures, invited lecture, dissemination of journal articles, and all those stuff that most of us are doing. Okay, so I have taken, for example, just to put an example, say a person has participated in the say Sripad Rao Kilpadi lecture series organized by some department, or maybe a course called Anand Shala was organized for the PhD supervisors by the university, and we participated in that. So how many hours we spent on that? The entire day was there, so 6 hours. Very fine. Then maybe you have attended a 2 days workshop on something like measuring outcomes, good documentation, innovations, and best practices, something like that. Because you will be doing that, you are doing that, so you have a lot of these documents. Keep them in order. That is the bottom line which will be necessary at this point. Attended the international workshops such as redefining environmental governance and smart city, and whatever you are doing it, you keep the record of that. Now example, if you have attended a national seminar for 2 days in your city, you are staying in Nagpur, and you have attended a national seminar in Nagpur, it is likely that you have spent 6 hours each day. 2 दिन का है, 6 घंटे आपने दोनों दिन बैठे. यदि आप बैठे हैं तो नहीं भी बैठे तो आप तो क्लेम कर सकते हैं, उसको थोड़ा इधर उधर जाके भी आ गए, but still 6 hours is still reasonable. That will make your score 2 into 6, that is 12, because you are within city. However, if you have traveled attending a seminar outside your city or outside your country, then you must have spent reasonable time for that. For example, you started at 6 p.m. on day 1, attended seminars on day 2 and day 3, 6 घंटे तो actual हुआ, but you were out of station ना, and return back to your city on day 4 at 6 p.m. Then your score will be 6 hours on day 1, 24 hours on day 2, 24 hours on day 3, and 18 hours on day 4. So that accumulates to 72 hours. So please remember that the hours must be converted into points by dividing by 10 in this category. So 7.2 points you can directly get in this. I hope I'm clear about this, and I hope I'm not going too fast about the things, because for me at least they look so. I try to make them as simplistic as possible. I hope if there are still some questions, we will try to cover them up in the FAQs. Now category 2 is over. You are done with that. Only 3. Once again, if I remind you, in different categories that you have to do this. Category 2, only 3. Now category 2 was over. Now category 3. In your PBAS form, you have to discuss everything in these categories. For example, research and publication and academic contributions. A is the published papers in journals. B is the publication other than journal articles, such as book chapters in books. C is the research projects. D, research guidance. E, fellowship awards, invited lectures delivered in conferences or seminars. In that you have fellowships and awards, in which also you have categories national and international. Then international lectures or papers presented at national and international conferences, seminars, that also will count here. Then development of e-learning delivery processes or material. So all this will be covered in category 3. So category 3 pro forma will be there in PBAs, but the calculation have to be based only on the guidelines which are given in table 2. Therefore, now we will discuss table 2. We have discussed table 1 initially, and we are discussing table 2 at this point because this is the most relevant place for this. First and foremost, research papers in peer-reviewed or UGC listed journals. If you are belonging to science, engineering, agriculture, medical, veterinary sciences background, for a basic paper you will get 8 points, because in the science field there is experimentation involved, and therefore in this field the more number of papers are expected. Whereas in the fields such as humanities, arts, social sciences, library, education, physical education, commerce, management, and other related disciplines, it's not that easy to publish a paper, and that is why the base points are 10 per paper. Now, how the distribution has to be made? So, peer-reviewed or UGC listed journals in which impact factor has to be determined only as per the Thomson-Reuters list. There was this rather infamous debate about the impact factors when it was introduced, say in 2010. That time it took some time to reach to the people, but that time the concept of impact factor, and then people like us, they were knowing that impact factor only comes from the Thomson-Reuters. But all of a sudden, within 2 years' time, so many journals, online journals, they came up, mushroomed rather, and each one claimed that they have impact factor of this 6.6, 7.7. You know what is meaning of impact factor 6 or 7? If you go by the standards of Thomson-Reuters, you cannot even imagine that. If you compare that thing with the online journals which are hardly read, there are several emails you will also be receiving that make sure that you publish your article online in 15 days, something like that. So forget about that. All business is now stopped. The criteria which are laid down are very, very clear. So if your paper is published in a referred journal without impact factor, referred journal, you have to prove that it is a referred journal. So that will be there. UGC list is also there, which clearly mentions about this. That means your basic point 10, for example, they will be there. You will get 10 points. In addition to that, if the paper is published in a referred journal, you will also get 5 more points if it doesn't have any impact factor. If it has an impact factor less than 1, still it has an impact factor, you will get 10 points more. 10 plus 10 it will be. So similarly, if the impact factor is between 1 and 2, it will be 15 points that you will be adding to your score. If it is between 2 and 5, you will be adding 20 points. If it is between 5 and 10, you will be adding 25 points. And if it is anything above 10 impact factor, you will easily add 30 points into that. Now the real question is, how do we go with this? How do we actually do the calculations? And for that, I have taken some example for you. Please follow this examination. But and of course, there is this criteria. I will also read it later on. That 70% of the total value of publication for the first or principal or the corresponding author, and rest 30% will be given to one of the authors who is neither of this. Now, an example: you author a research paper having 3 authors. Okay, published it in a journal having Thomson-Reuters impact factor of 1.6. You serve in humanities discipline. Okay, so the parameters have clear. आपके पेपर में 3 ऑथर है, आपका इम्पैक्ट उस जर्नल का इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर 1.6 है, और आप ह्यूमैनिटीज डिसिप्लिन से हो. ये 3 चीजें हैं. हाउ डू यू कैलकुलेट? सो बेसिक पॉइंट, आप ह्यूमैनिटीज डिसिप्लिन के हो इसलिए आपको 10 मिल रहा है. यदि आप साइंस या इंजीनियरिंग से होते तो आपको 8 पॉइंट मिलते. नाउ इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर इज बिटवीन 1 and 2. 1 and 2 है तो 15 उसको ऐड होंगे, यानी कि आपका टोटल स्कोर हो गया 25. सॉरी, यहाँ पे 10 आना चाहिए. 10 plus 15 is 25. Now, how do you distribute that? First author और corresponding author यदि है, या principal author, या जैसे कि पिछले इसमें वो भी था कि you could be the mentor of the first author is your student, that's possible, and you are one of the authors, but you are mentor to the first author, so you can claim to be the senior author. So in other cases, the 70% is maximum. So if you are first author for a Verse or a corresponding author, you will get 70% of 25, which will come to 17.5 points. है ना? यानी कि 25 पॉइंट में से 70% आपके हैं, क्योंकि आप या तो पहले ऑथर हो या करस्पॉन्डिंग ऑथर हो, या फिर उसके जो बोला गया है कि वन ऑफ द प्रिंसिपल ऑथर्स. So you will get 17.5 for him. अब इनमें से किसी कैटेगरी में नहीं बैठते हो आप, you are among the team of researchers, you are one of the author, so 30%. पहले ये जो बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम हुआ था कि in the earlier notification the clarity was not there. So in some of the paper there were 10 authors and only first author used to get 70%, and among other 9 authors they will be sharing, so the points will come in 0.1, 0.2 points. That was ridiculous. So that correction has been made in this, and they say very clearly, explicitly, that each subsequent author will get 30%. It doesn't matter whether it makes a total 100% or goes beyond 100%, it doesn't matter. What matters is that a due credit is given to the authorship, and that is 30%. And that is why, so in the same publication, having 25 score, if you are not the main author, you can still claim 7.5 points. I hope I made this clear. Now, other things are very, very easy to understand. So they are self-explanatory. Say, for example, books. If you have authored a book published by international publishers, ये भी धंधे होते हैं, यानी कि लिखते हैं लोग कि पब्लिशर ही लिखता है कि नाम इसका इंटरनेशनल पब्लिकेशंस ऑफ ऑल साइंस बुक्स एंड दैट पेज यू यूज टू क्लेम दैट योर बुक, और अंदर देखते हैं उसमें लिखा होता है कि पब्लिश्ड फ्रॉम अजमेर, पब्लिश्ड फ्रॉम आसपास का न्यू दिल्ली, या पब्लिश्ड फ्रॉम हियर एंड देयर. सो because it is published within India, it cannot be considered to be international publication. If it is published outside and printed in India, it is an international publication. But if it is published in India, then you cannot claim it as an international publication. That is the only thing that I want to mention. So international publisher 12 points, national publishers 10 points. Then chapter in edited books, the edited books are there. If I am inviting the proposals for an edited volume, so if you are submitting paper to me and if that is published in the edited volume, that will be considered as a book chapter. So you will get 5 points for that. If you are editor, then you will get additional credits. Your credentials will be, you will get 10 points for that if you are international publisher. Or if you are not author but you are an editor, you can still claim 8 points for that. So that is how it goes. Now, chapter or research paper within books. Translation. Earlier this category was not there in the UGC. This is a new welcome development. So translation they have recognized as an important scientific academic contribution. So in that context, this automatically becomes very important. So translation they are giving credit. If you are translating a chapter or a research paper from a book, you will get 3 points. If you are translating an entire book, you will get 8 points for that. So credit is given. ये ह्यूमैनिटीज में बहुत सारे लोगों के साथ होती है समस्या, पहले होती थी कि कोई इंग्लिश किताबों का मराठी में या हिंदी में ट्रांसलेट करना कोई छोटा काम नहीं है, इट इज एन एकेडमिक एक्टिविटी. सो दे डिडंट यूज्ड टू गेट एनी क्रेडिट्स फॉर दैट. लेकिन अभी उसको टेबल 2 में यानी कि कैटेगरी 3 में डालने की वजह से इट हैज गॉट द रिकॉग्निशन दैट वाज ड्यू टू इट. अब वो रिकॉग्निशन मिला है, एंड दैट इज व्हाई यू कैन क्लेम दिस पॉइंट्स एज 3 or 8 whichever is applicable. Important note is that paper presented, if is part of the edited book or precedent, then it can be claimed only once. आपने यहाँ पे भी लिखा है इसको कि edited या भी, और वहाँ पे भी आपने claim किया है कि उसको presentation, तो that is discouraged by UGC. They say you claim it anywhere, and I recommend you claim it here, क्योंकि इसमें category 3 में direct आपको point मिल रहा है table 2 में, है ना? So that makes some sense. Now, third is in the table 2, creation of ICT mediated teaching or learning pedagogy, and content and development of new and innovative courses or curricula. Pedagogy यानी कि क्या होता है, बच्चों को पढ़ाना, बताना, grooming करना. So in that context, ये कोई infant kids तो नहीं है that we are dealing with. They are grown ups, but still they need the kind of training because they are also in evolving stage, in a very critical stage of their life. So in that, what innovation we have brought in? So development of innovative pedagogy, you can claim it if you have documentary evidences for that. Design of new curricula, say if you have participated, क्योंकि हम खुद तो डिजाइन कर भी ले, उसको कौन देखेगा कौन छापेगा, it makes no sense. So if you are invited as the member of syllabus setting committee or framing committee or something like that, so then you will get these points. You need to have a document for this. Then multiple open online courses. If you are the designer of one of those courses, that talent will be awarded. You will get 20 points if you have independently designed a module and implemented it. If you have developed 4 quadrants per module per lecture, then you will get 5 points. If you have got 4 quadrants equivalent to 4 credits, 4 credit की equivalent यदि कोई है तो आपको 20 पॉइंट मिलेंगे. I hope you can understand this, or maybe you can search more information about the MOACs. Just scroll through the search engines and you will find the suitable information on this. I will not go into details. Then the other contents, if you are a writer, if you are giving any information on this online open courses, then that can always be credited and you can claim the credit for that, depending upon the information you have, depending upon the documentation that you have. Next is the D, is the e-content. Development of e-content in 4 quadrants for complete course book or e-book. I mean, that means it has all of a sudden become relevant in this COVID-19 crisis. Earlier people were thinking कि इसकी क्या जरूरत पड़ेगी, e-content कौन देखने वाला है, डायरेक्ट टीचिंग ही तो अच्छा है और हम तो क्लास रूम में ही पढ़ाएंगे, इसमें तो कोई मतलब नहीं है, कौन पढ़ेगा उसको. But now you have seen the unprecedented situation in this, and you are bound to learn these techniques. यदि आपको कितना भी अच्छा नहीं लगता हो, I am also among one of those who actually don't like online things. I believe that the direct teaching is better, but does it matter now? You have to teach and learn and like. That's the only thing we can do in such situations. So nowadays it has gained much importance, and it is likely that in future UGC modifications, amendments, this component will get some more enhancement. That is what I am thinking. So development of e-content in 4 quadrants, you will get certain points. Then e-content and all those things which you can read and you can go through. Now next comes is the research guidance, and the first and foremost is how much I will get for this. If you have successfully guided a student, that means he has been awarded the PhD degree, you will get 10 points during that period of assessment. But equally important is the submission of the thesis. ऐसा कम ही होता है कि thesis reject होके आता है, उसको टाइम लगता है, लेकिन generally reject होने के chances कम होते हैं, ऐसा नहीं कि होते ही नहीं. So in that cases, still the 5 marks will be given to you even if the thesis is submitted. MPhil, guidance to MPhil, and even dissertation, you will get 2 points for dissertation also. अब वो एक थोड़ा मिस्टेक हो गया है यूनिवर्सिटी ने पिछले 1-2 साल में, एटलीस्ट आरटीएम नागपुर यूनिवर्सिटी ने वो डिसर्टेशन को प्रोजेक्ट में कन्वर्ट कर दिया था. प्रोजेक्ट का यहाँ कोई नाम नहीं है तो उसका कोई क्रेडिट भी नहीं आएगा. तो वी नीड टू, मे बी समथिंग विल कम आउट बिकॉज पीपल आर वेरी अलर्ट अबाउट दिस थिंग्स. और सब तरफ ये हो रहा है, बस सिचुएशन ऐसी है कि अभी मीटिंग्स हो नहीं पा रहे हैं. सो वी ऑल अंडरस्टैंड एंड वी still trying our best to do best possible in this crisis situation, and I think we will come out with very nice solutions for this. Then comes the research projects. If you consider the earlier points, there were much more that if you have a research project more than 15 lakhs, then you would get the more 30 points or so. More than 5 lakhs, you will get 20 points. Less than 5 lakhs, but more than 1 lakh, you will get 10 points. But now they have very simplified it. More than 10 lakhs, 10 points. Less than 10 lakhs, 5 points. Simple. No further division is there. Okay. And nowadays it is very difficult also to grab the research projects to get them, because everyone is vying and it's very tough competition at the national level. Anyways, then the research projects which are ongoing. Because this happens, क्या होता है कि हम लोग like paradox था, I discussed with my some of the colleagues some time ago, कि यदि आप इस साल का पीबीएस फॉर्म भरा है, या आपके करियर में ऐसा समय था कि आपका रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट मिला है और उस वक्त आपने उसको 20 पॉइंट ले लिए हैं। अब जब आप दूसरी बार जाएंगे नेक्स्ट प्रमोशन के लिए, वो खत्म हो गया, लेकिन प्रोजेक्ट अब वहां पे खत्म हो गया है इन दैट पीरियड, तो उसके भी पॉइंट आपने लिए, यानी कि एक ही प्रोजेक्ट के लिए आपने दो दो पॉइंट लिए, है ना। तो ये करने के लिए, बिकॉज दैट विल इनवेरिएबली हैपन ना, ऐसा होगा ही होगा, क्योंकि 3 साल के प्रोजेक्ट रहते हैं और आपका टेन्योर 3 साल के बीच में कभी भी आ सकता है, तो दोनों तरफ वो लाजमी है, उसको इट इज जस्टिफाइड कि दोनों तरफ उसका क्लेम बनता है। तो ऐसे केस के लिए यूजीसी ने उसको क्लियर कर दिया है कि यदि ऑनगोइंग है तो आपको 5 या 2, डिपेंडिंग ऑन वेदर इट इज मोर देन 10 lakhs और लेस देन 10 lakhs, दैट विल बी देयर। कंसल्टेंसी प्रोजेक्ट्स है तो 3 पॉइंट्स, सो लाइक दैट इट इज। सो जॉइंट प्रोजेक्ट्स, इसमें द इन्वेस्टिगेटर एंड को इन्वेस्टिगेटर होते हैं, तो सबको 50-50 पॉइंट उन्होंने देने की प्रावधान है। सो ईच वन कैन क्लेम 50% मार्क्स, इफ ओनली सिंगल पर्सन इज देयर ही कैन क्लेम 100% मार्क्स। नाउ अनदर थिंग इज द पेटेंट्स। यदि पेटेंट्स है, साइंस इंजीनियरिंग बेटर इन लोगों के पास पेटेंट्स होते हैं, ह्यूमैनिटीज में वी डोंट एक्सपेक्ट पेटेंट्स एनी। तो if you have international patents you will get 10 marks, if you have national patents you will get 7 marks। उसी तरह से पॉलिसी डॉक्यूमेंट्स का होता है। पॉलिसी डॉक्यूमेंट सबमिटेड टू एन इंटरनेशनल बॉडी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन लाइक यूएनओ, यूनेस्को, वर्ल्ड बैंक, आईएमएफ या सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, हम किसी को भी भेज सकते हैं। पॉलिसी डॉक्यूमेंट हमने भेज दिया, अब भेज देने से क्या होता है, हमने भेज दिया है, उन्होंने उसका क्या किया है, उन्होंने उसको पॉलिसी बनाई है उससे कि उसको कचरे के डिब्बे में डाला है, वी डोंट नो अबाउट इट। सो if it is implemented, at least part of it, कहीं मेंशन है, कहीं रेफरेंस भी है, you can always claim for that। So national है तो same 7 and
कामाचं म्हणजे समोरच्या कामात आहे,
then
अभ्यासाचं नाही आहे।
awards and fellowships, if you are getting the international awards,
ऊपर करून देते
7 points, national awards 5 points, and that is very clear wherever it is applicable, where it is। ये देखो, ये एक ब्रॉड स्पेक्ट्रम है, यहाँ पे अराउंड 2000 पीपल दे हैव जॉइंड। अब सबके लिए कुछ ना कुछ तो रहेगा, हमारे लिए रेलेवेंट नहीं है ये, इसका मतलब वो काम का नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता, किसी दूसरे के लिए भी काम का हो सकता है, इसलिए प्लीज लिसन केयरफुली, दैट इज माय रिक्वेस्ट टू यू। नाउ द नेक्स्ट कैटेगरी इज ऑफ द इनवाइटेड लेक्चर्स, लाइक रिसोर्स पर्सन्स या पेपर प्रेजेंटेशन, सेमिनार्स, व्हाटएवर दे आर देयर। सो if it is international you will get for presentations 7 points। इंटरनेशनल तो कॉन्फ्रेंस है लेकिन अपने ही देश में है, कंट्री में, तो उसको 5 points। Similarly if it is national 3 and state 2। Now there ends the table 2, but not without the specific points which are very clear on that। इसको बहुत ध्यान से देखिए इस पॉइंट्स। पेपर प्रेजेंटेड इफ पार्ट ऑफ द एडिटेड, पहले भी बोला गया है, उसको एक ही जगह क्लेम करना है। सेकंड बात, for the purpose of calculating research score to the teacher, the combined research score from the categories 5, categories 5 में क्या है, वो पेपर प्रेजेंटेड का है, and category C में क्या है, ये पॉलिसी डॉक्यूमेंट का है। दोनों में से कंबाइन करके इसका स्कोर 30% से ऊपर नहीं होना चाहिए, नहीं तो सारा इसी में से, और वही होता था एक जमाने में, इसलिए ये सब चेंज हुए रूल्स कि कॉन्फ्रेंस अटेंडेड, प्रेजेंटेड पेपर, प्रेजेंट whatever it is, you know better than me, so I will not go into those details, but the condition is very clear, you can claim only limited point, that is 30% capping is only present here। Invited lectures, research persons, paper presented shall have an upper capping limit of 30% of the total research score of the, ये एक पॉइंट। और दूसरा पॉइंट जो है कि इसमें से जो 6 कैटेगरीज है अभी तक हमने डिस्कस की हुई है, उसमें से मिनिमम 3 कैटेगरीज आउट ऑफ 6 उसमें से काउंट होने चाहिए, यानी कि 6 में से 5 खाली है और 1 में सारे पॉइंट्स है, तो यू विल नॉट बी एलिजिबल, है तो भी एलिजिबल नहीं है। कम से कम 3 कैटेगरी से पॉइंट आने चाहिए उसमें, तभी 6 में होना संभव ही नहीं है। आप कहाँ से पेटेंट लाओगे यदि है ही नहीं तो दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल। सभी के पॉलिसी डॉक्यूमेंट्स भी नहीं हो सकते हैं, लेकिन रीजनेबल यही है कि कम से कम 6 में से 3 क्राइटेरिया फुलफिल होने चाहिए। दैट इज वेयर द टेबल 2 एंड्स। उसके बाद आपका लास्ट पार्ट ये रहेगा कि समरी आपको देना है कि एकेडमिक ईयर, फॉर एग्जांपल 12-13 में आपको कितने कितने पॉइंट्स मिले तीनों इस कैटेगरीज में, 13 में कितने मिले, 14 में कितने मिले, और टोटल असेसमेंट पीरियड में कितने मिले हैं। और फिर ये एक जो कॉलम होता है वो अप्रूवल के लिए होता है, जो स्क्रीनिंग कमेटी आती है, आपका जो क्लेम है और उनके कैलकुलेशन में डिफरेंस तो होगा, so they will make an approval. ये डॉक्यूमेंट आपके पास नहीं पहुंचेगा, लेकिन ये आपके रिकॉर्ड में होगा, आपके हो सकता है कि सीआरपीएफ फाइल पे या आपके फाइल में होगा करियर की, तो दैट इज ऑल पॉसिबल। अब इसके बाद ये आपके लिए मैंने कुछ बनाया है क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर। बिफोर दैट ये अब तक जो था वो सारा उसके एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया के बारे में था, कैलकुलेशंस के था, क्या हम कर सकते क्या नहीं कर सकते ये सब। अब इसके बाद जो हमारे क्वेश्चंस आते हैं उसको मैंने डिजाइन किया, मैंने सोचा कि ये क्वेश्चंस आएंगे क्योंकि सभी के इतने लोगों के क्वेश्चंस लेना संभव नहीं है, तो जो फ्रीक्वेंटली आस्क्ड क्वेश्चंस है उनको मैं वन बाय वन। क्वेश्चन 1, व्हाट इफ माय प्रमोशन इज ओवरड्यू बट द स्क्रीनिंग कमिटी इज नॉट अपॉइंटेड? यदि ऐसी कमिटी अपॉइंट ही नहीं हुई, मेरा तो हो गया, टाइम हो गया है, तो मेरा नुकसान होगा। Whenever the committee is appointed, promotion will be given from the due date. उसी तारीख से लेकर जब से है। However, it is responsibility of the respective college or the university to appoint such a committee if the candidate has made an application within the specific period. अभी जो गवर्नमेंट का जो ऑर्डर था, बीच में लॉट ऑफ ह्यू एंड क्राई वाज देयर बिकॉज़ दिस पैंडेमिक हैज स्टार्टेड, कि लोग तो डरे हुए थे कि हमारा हुआ ही नहीं, अब हमारा सब फाइनेंशियल लॉस होगा, ये होगा, दिस एंड दैट, एंड फिर उसका मॉडिफिकेशन आया और वो सब आप लोग जानते हैं उसके बारे में। लेकिन द कंडीशन यही है आज के तारीख में, यदि आपका ड्यू है, आपने अप्लाई कर भी दिया है, आपके पॉइंट्स भी हो रहे हैं उस टाइम पे, तो आपको कोई रोक नहीं सकता है, ये आपकी मिस्टेक नहीं हो सकती है यदि आप अपनी तरफ से क्लियर हो। तो यदि कहीं पे भी ये स्टैंड नहीं होता है तो यू कैन ऑलवेज नॉक द डोर्स ऑफ द कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ, ये हो सकता है, बट इट इज ड्यू टू यू विल गेट।
झूम मध्ये झालं माझं झालं तुम्हाला ऐकू।
क्वेश्चन 2 इज, डू आई नीड टू फेस एन इंटरव्यू बिफोर द स्क्रीनिंग कम इवैल्यूएशन कमिटी? है ना, हमारा लेवल 1 से लेवल 2 का या लेवल 2 से लेवल 3 के दोनों ही केस में यू हैव स्क्रीनिंग कम इवैल्यूएशन कमिटी, तो उनके सामने मुझे जाना पड़ेगा क्या? नो, आपको जाने की जरूरत नहीं है। However, the committee may call the candidate for some explanation or clarification or ambiguity or document on the day of screening committee, क्योंकि वो बार बार आने वाली नहीं है। एक छोटे डॉक्यूमेंट की वजह से आपका कुछ रुक रहा है, तो इट इज बेस्ट इन योर इंटरेस्ट दैट यू स्टे ऑन द डे। ये कंपलसरी नहीं है, लेकिन इट इज बेस्ट इन योर इंटरेस्ट दैट यू स्टे ऑन द डे। आपको किसी को फेस नहीं करना है, लेकिन आप वहाँ पे रहेंगे अपने सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स के साथ। यदि कुछ क्लैरिटी भी चाहिए, कुछ पूछना भी है, तो वो आपको बुला के पूछ सकते हैं। ऐसा हुआ है, हमने देखा है यूनिवर्सिटीज में। क्वेश्चन 3, व्हाट इफ एनी मेंबर ऑफ द स्क्रीनिंग कमिटी इज इंपॉर्टेंट? यदि वो पैनल है, 4 से 5 लोगों का पैनल होता है, तो एक आध नहीं आता है तो क्या? द quorum of these committees in all categories shall be 3, which will include 1 subject expert or
नाही ना
university
तसं आहे
non.
ना, ते लाईव्ह आहे ना।
यानी कि द quorum is there, कि quorum आपको कंप्लीट होगा 3 लोगों से, उसमें से एक या तो सब्जेक्ट एक्सपर्ट या यूनिवर्सिटी नॉमिनी, इन में से कोई तो भी एक होना चाहिए, बाकी कोई भी। तो दैट इज वन थिंग। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज, व्हाट इफ आई एम आउट ऑफ स्टेशन ऑन डे ऑफ माय स्क्रीनिंग कमिटी मीटिंग? ये अनलाइकली सिचुएशन तो नहीं है, क्योंकि ऐसा हो सकता है, ऐसा कोई भी अर्जेंट काम हो सकता है कि आप नहीं रह पा रहे, है ना। अक्सर ऐसा तभी होता है कि जब हमारा बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट काम होता है, तभी एक बहुत दूसरा एक इंपॉर्टेंट काम आ जाता है, ऐसा कॉमनली लोगों के साथ होता है। लेकिन ये इतना बड़ा गुनाह भी नहीं है, क्योंकि ये स्क्रीनिंग कम इवैल्यूएशन कमिटी है। इफ यू हैव मेड श्योर दैट योर थिंग्स आर ओके, देन प्रोबेबली your form will be through. आपके प्रेजेंस की कोई भी जरूरत नहीं है। The presence of candidate is not mandatory on the day of screening cum evaluation, although it might be helpful to clear any technical problems or doubt. However, it is absolutely necessary to remain present before the selection committee, क्योंकि सिलेक्शन कमिटी के सामने आपको प्रेजेंटेशन ही देना है, इसलिए वो जरूरी होता है। यानी कि बाद में, यानी कि लेवल 3 से आगे जो है इनके एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर और प्रोफेसर का जो इंटरव्यू है, इसके लिए आपको रहना ही पड़ेगा, प्रेजेंटेशन देना ही पड़ेगा। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, व्हाट विल स्क्रीनिंग कम इवैल्यूएशन कमिटी डू टू माय एप्लीकेशन? वो देख के क्या करेंगे मेरे एप्लीकेशन का, मतलब इस तरह से उसको वो डील करेंगे। द कमिटी विल वेरीफाई द डॉक्यूमेंट्स, इट विल वेरीफाई द मिनिमम एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया, verify the scores as per given pro forma by respective university based on UGC guidelines। सबने अपना किया होगा, कहीं ना कहीं से अपने वो पॉइंट्स बनवाए होंगे, उसको अपने खुद बनाए होंगे अप्राइजल, सेल्फ अप्राइजल, और किसी ना किसी कमिटी ने उसको देखा होगा, अप्रूव किया होगा, और वो जाएगा उनके पास। यदि ऐसा नहीं होगा तो वो कमिटी तक अपना काम ही नहीं खत्म कर पाएगी, वो सब कैलकुलेट करके बैठेगी। सो इट हैज टू बी सब्सटेंशिएटेड एंड प्रूव्ड, और वो लिखना पड़ता है मिनट्स में कि हमने वेरीफाई किए हैं। और वो यदि यूनिवर्सिटी है तो वाइस चांसलर तक जाता है, यदि कॉलेज है तो प्रिंसिपल तक जाता है, और उसके बाद वो कमेटी के सामने रखा जाता है, तो कमेटी उसको देखती है और उन सब के बेसिस पर वो अपने मिनट्स बनाती है और रिकमेंडेशन देती है। उनके रिकमेंडेशन के बेसिस पर आपका प्रमोशन होता है, आपके डॉक्यूमेंट के बेसिस पर नहीं होता है। हालांकि वो कमिटी इज बाउंड टू डू, क्योंकि आपने देखा कि सब क्वांटिफिकेशन हुआ है चीजों का, इसलिए कोई जबरदस्ती कुछ करेगा नहीं। डोंट बी अंडर दैट इंप्रेशन कि आपको कोई हार्म कर देगा या नुकसान कर देगा, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा, क्योंकि ये क्वांटिफिकेशन हो चुका है उसका। यूजीसी ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है। नेक्स्ट इज व्हाट इफ जेडी नॉमिनी इज नॉट, ये बीच में ये बहुत चला नागपुर यूनिवर्सिटी के केस में, क्योंकि हम उसको देख रहे थे कि जॉइंट डायरेक्टर ने नॉमिनी नहीं था, तो कुछ केसेस भी वापस आया, फिर उसको लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स हैपेंड इन बिटवीन। सो अब जब हम नए रूल्स को देखते हैं यूजीसी के, देयर इजंट एनी मेंशन ऑफ जेडी नॉमिनी इन द यूजीसी नोटिफिकेशन रेफर्ड अबव, कहीं पे भी नहीं है। हाउएवर इन द स्टेट्स सच एज महाराष्ट्र, एक एग्जांपल के तौर पे, द गवर्नमेंट मशीनरी ऑपरेट्स थ्रू द डायरेक्टर ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन, है ना, पूरी गवर्नमेंट की मशीनरी डायरेक्टर ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन के थ्रू होती है, और वो उसने अपने अपॉइंट करके रखे हैं जॉइंट डायरेक्टर सभी मेजर सिटीज में। देयरफॉर इट इज ऑलवेज डिजायरेबल टू हैव अ नॉमिनी ऑफ द डायरेक्टर और जॉइंट डायरेक्टर। लेकिन इससे आपका क्या वास्ता, क्योंकि आप तो कैंडिडेट हो या आप तो करोगे नहीं, लेकिन जो करस्पॉन्डिंग प्रिंसिपल होगा या यूनिवर्सिटी मैकेनिज्म मशीनरी होगी वो करेगी। सो बट यू बी अवेयर ऑफ दिस थिंग्स। नेक्स्ट इज ये थोड़ा सा देखिए कि मिनिमम स्कोर्स मेंशन इन टेबल ए फॉर यूनिवर्सिटी टीचर्स, यूनिवर्सिटी टीचर्स के लिए खास है, आर डिफरेंट फ्रॉम एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया गिवन इन टेक्स्ट। जैसे कि वो 90 बोलता है पॉइंट टेबल ए में, और एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया में फ्रॉम AL12 टू AL13 वो बोलता है कि 120 है और उसको चाहिए वहां पे 110 बोलता है। तो डिस्क्रिपेंसी क्यों है, जबकि पीबीएस फॉर्म में 90 लिखा है या 120 लिखा है, लेकिन एक्सप्लेनेशन में वो बोलता है कि 70 भी चलेगा और 110 भी चलेगा।
110 भी चलेगा, ए भी चलेगा, ओ भी चलेगा।
कैसे 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 उसको ध्यान से देखिए मैडम, आपकी आवाज भी आ रही है। इट इज क्लियरली मेंशन्ड इन द एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया दैट अ मिनिमम ऑफ 70 पॉइंट्स for AL12 to AL13 and 110 points for AL13 to 14 as per table 2 of appendix। उसने क्या बोला है, किसके बेसिस पे, वहां पे आप ध्यान से पढ़ना, वहां पे लिखा है ब्रैकेट में as per appendix 2 table 2। ये टेबल 2 को आप ध्यान से देखोगे तो ये टेबल 2 सिर्फ रिफ्लेक्ट करता है कैटेगरी 3 को, जबकि कंडीशन बोलती है कि कैटेगरी 2 और कैटेगरी 3 ये क्लब होने चाहिए। यानी कि यहाँ पे जहाँ पे पीबीएस फॉर्म का दिया होता है मिनिमम 90 पॉइंट्स या 120 पॉइंट्स, वो है कैटेगरी 2 प्लस 3। आउट ऑफ दैट 70 पॉइंट्स शुड बी फ्रॉम कैटेगरी 3 एंड 110 पॉइंट्स फ्रॉम कैटेगरी 3। यदि आप ध्यान से देखोगे टेबल 2 को तो इट रिफ्लेक्ट्स कैटेगरी 3 ओनली, कहीं लिखा नहीं है, लेकिन आप ध्यान से देखिए इन चीजों को, जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ मेरे एक्सपीरियंस के बेसिस पर बोल रहा हूँ, आप भी उसको ध्यान से देखिए। डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज। हो सकता है कि बहुत सारी चीजें आपने सुना है, आपके काम की है भी है नहीं भी है, but still you listen to it carefully. Next question. Condition of guiding PhD students is there. Condition for guiding PhD students is there for university teachers. AL12 to AL13 as well as 13। अब दो जगह देखोगे उसको, यानी कि स्टेज 2 से स्टेज 3 में और स्टेज 3 से स्टेज 4 में, दोनों जगह आप देखोगे कि ये कंडीशन आ रही है कि गाइडिंग PhD स्टूडेंट्स है। तो ये कैसे हो सकता है दोनों जगह, कि वो कंडीशन ही पहले है तो बाद में देने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है ना, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है। एक एक वर्ड का डिफरेंस होता है। द वर्ड हैविंग गाइडेड व्हिच इज यूज्ड इन AL12 to 13 व्हिच मींस दैट द टीचर इज गाइडिंग अ स्टूडेंट फॉर PhD। जरूरी नहीं कि उसका अवार्ड हो चुका हो, लेकिन उसको मिला है एक स्टूडेंट PhD गाइड करने के लिए, एंड ही इज गाइडिंग, दैट इज कम से कम उतना जरूरी है। जबकि whereas a word successfully guided is used for AL13 to 14 which means that student has completed his PhD under the guidance। तो इस चीज को ध्यान से देखिए यार, कोई डिस्क्रिपेंसी नहीं है, बस वर्ड्स का थोड़ा ध्यान देने लायक बात है इसमें। नेक्स्ट, फॉर प्रमोशन ऑफ कॉलेज टीचर्स फ्रॉम AL10 कि स्टेज 1 to stage 2 the table B shows minimum requirement of 20 points whereas the same is not। किसी से बात करते हुए ये सब हो रहा था कि कोई बोल रहा था कि अरे इसको तो कोई पॉइंट की जरूरत ही नहीं कैटेगरी 1 के लिए, कॉलेज टीचर्स के लिए, कहीं भी ऐसा लिखा नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। The criteria of minimum points laid down in table B should be followed for all the promotions under CAS। जो टेबल B में लिखा है सभी डॉक्यूमेंट्स में है, ये जो उसको रेफर किया उसमें भी है। However, the criteria for promotion to stage 2 to stage 3 are relatively easy for an active professional. जिसमें क्या है, मोस्टली रिफ्रेशर ओरिएंटेशन कोर्सेस है और जो स्टूडेंट रिलेटेड एक्टिविटीज, ये दोनों मिला दिए तो 20 पॉइंट तो वैसे ही बनते हैं. तो वेदर यू मेंशन इट और नॉट, वो उतने पॉइंट तो वैसे ही बनने वाले हैं. इसलिए डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट. वो पीबीएस वाला जो टेबल बी वाला है वो रहेगा सब जगह, वो उतने ही पॉइंट मिनिमम रहेंगे. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन is that only table 1 and 2 are valid for the separate categories 1, 2 and the separate categories 1, 2, 3 are no longer valid. बहुत सारे लोगों को ये लगता है कि अब नए इसमें कहीं कुछ दिखता नहीं, कैटेगरी 1, 2, 3 के टेबल्स नहीं दिखते हैं, उनको दिखता है टेबल 1 और टेबल 2. तो बहुत से लोगों में ये विचार आ गया कि टेबल 1 और 2 होने से हो जाएगा, बाकी 1, 2, 3 को देने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. ऐसा नहीं है. While making an application for promotion under CAS, you have to use PBS format, which is based on category-wise distribution of marks. Table 1 and Table 2 merely provides the method of calculation of points and do not substitute for category-based PB. वो खाली एक मेथड बताते हैं टेबल 2, 1 और टेबल 2 हाउ टू कैलकुलेट, वो उसको रिप्लेस नहीं करते कैटेगरी 1, 2, 3 को. इसलिए वो पीबीएस फॉर्म ही आपका फाइनल है जो आप सबमिट करोगे. क्वेश्चन 11, ज्यादा नहीं 15-16 क्वेश्चन ही है. There is no formal category 1, 2, 3 in the UGC notification. Is it that these categories are abolished or replaced by table? नहीं, वही क्वेश्चन दोबारा दूसरी तरह से लोगों ने पूछा, क्या कैटेगरी 1, 2, 3 खत्म हो गई क्या? आंसर भी वही है. There is no mention of abolishment of categories 1, 2 and 3 anywhere in the UGC notification. Section 6.37 clearly mentions about all the three categories, method of exemption from scoring of category 1 and scoring in categories 2 and 3. This document, however, clears that. Document क्या बोलता है? There shall be no minimum API score required for category 2 and category 3 individually. ये हमेशा combine ही होना चाहिए. Next question. Where can I obtain a format for making an application for promotion under CAS? हालांकि ये कुछ लोगों का प्रॉब्लम नहीं भी हो सकता है, but your annual self-assessment for performance-based appraisal system (PBAS) can be used for it. हर साल आपको ये भर के देना है PBAS. तो ये कहाँ से मिलेगा? Your IQAC coordinator will help you getting the PBAS. आपके IQAC डायरेक्टर कोऑर्डिनेटर को कांटेक्ट कीजिए. यदि उनके भी पास नहीं होगा तो ये यूनिवर्सिटी के जो IQAC के कोऑर्डिनेटर डायरेक्टर होंगे, आप उनसे आप ले लीजिए. ये मिलेगा ही मिलेगा, कोई बड़ी बात नहीं, क्योंकि उसी को भर के देना है आपको. ये थोड़ा सा एक समझने लायक है. हाउ डू आई सबमिट माई एप्लीकेशन? आप एप्लीकेशन कैसे सबमिट करोगे? The UGC notification states that your college or university should have an IQAC cell, which will be a custodian of your PBAS forms submitted every year. हर साल आप जो सबमिट करते हो. You will also have a copy of the same, which can be directly used for you. आपके पास भी तो होगी आपकी कॉपी, आप तो रखोगे उसको, उसी को कंपाइल करके दे देना है एंड में. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ योर प्रमोशन from level 2 to level 3 is due on 30th August 2020. 30 अगस्त को आपका प्रमोशन है, ड्यू है. Then you can make an application 3 months ago. यानी कि आप 30th मई को, यानी कि कल से आप स्टार्ट कर दीजिए उसको बनाना, या एप्लीकेशन उसको सबमिट कर दीजिए. So 3 months before the due date. Since the residence time for level 2 to 3 is 5 years, you will have to produce PBS forms for 5 years. 5 साल के आपको देना है. और इसके अलावा 5 साल का एक जिस्ट जो कंबाइंड है उसको सामने लगाना है. आपके हर साल का वो कैलकुलेट बैठने वाली नहीं है कमेटी, ये आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि 5 साल का एक जिस्ट भी बना के देंगे, उसको वो देखेंगे. हालांकि जो आपके डॉक्यूमेंट्स है वो बाकी 5 के हिसाब से भी हो सकते हैं या इसके भी हिसाब से हो सकते हैं. हर चीज का डॉक्यूमेंटेशन देना जरूरी है आपको, और उसका नंबर रेफरेंस भी लिखना है ताकि इवेल्युएटर को पता चले कि वो कैसे होगा. ओके. इन एडिशन यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर अ कंबाइंड फॉर्म, वो भी लिख दिया हमने. Each claim has to be justified with a documentary proof which is duly mentioned in your self-appraisal form and must get all the forms signed from principal in case of colleges, from head of the department यदि यूनिवर्सिटी की केस है तो. ये थ्रू आपके अथॉरिटी के थ्रू ही होंगे. Now last 2-3 questions. How many copies of the application should I submit? कितने? If you are in Nagpur University, they require you to submit 11 copies, PBS plus document सबकी. और ये हमेशा प्रोफेसर लोग चिल्लाते हैं कि हमको 5,000 खर्चा आया, 6,000 खर्चा आया, 7,000 खर्चा आया, हम जेरोक्स करते करते परेशान हो गए. बट दैट इज ओनली फॉर योर गुड, देयर इज नो अदर वे. यदि हमारे सामने वो सब डॉक्यूमेंट होते हैं तो ये किसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है? क्या यूनिवर्सिटी या कॉलेज करते रहेगा वो सब? वो मिसप्लेस कर सकते हैं, तो कितनी बड़ी वो झंझट हो जाएगी। आप खुद का काम करते हो तो आप परफेक्ट ही करोगे, कोई डॉक्यूमेंट इधर से उधर नहीं लगेगा, है ना। सो इट इज बेटर वे दैट यू टेक इट विद अ पिंच ऑफ सॉल्ट, दैट इट इज योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। आपको उतने डॉक्यूमेंट देने ही है। यदि आप नागपुर यूनिवर्सिटी में हो तो 11 फॉर्म्स देने हैं, और एक आप खुद की भी कॉपी बनाओगी तो इस तरह से 12 कॉपीज आपको बनानी है। नेक्स्ट इज, कैन आई गेट माई एक्स्ट्रा कॉपीज बैक आफ्टर कंप्लीट प्रोसीजर ऑफ प्लेसमेंट इज ओवर। ऐसा होता है कि 11 कॉपी यूनिवर्सिटी मंगाती है, उनको जरूरत शायद पूरे 12 कॉपीज की नहीं भी होती है, 11 कॉपीज की, उसमें से कुछ यूज करते हैं, कुछ बच जाते हैं। तो यूनिवर्सिटी यदि सब आपका हो गया है, आपका प्लेसमेंट भी हो गया है, आपको ऑर्डर भी मिल गया, आपने ज्वाइन भी कर लिया है, उसके बाद आप यूनिवर्सिटी को अप्रोच कर सकते हो कि मेरे जो यदि अनयूज्ड एप्लीकेशंस है तो आप रिटर्न एप्लीकेशन कर दीजिए, वो आपको वापस भी मिल सकते हैं, कॉलेज भी दे सकता है यदि अनयूज्ड है तो, लेकिन वो आपसे वो रिटर्न में लिखित स्वरूप में लेगा कि आपको दिए, हैंडओवर का भी लेगा। अब इसका उनको काम नहीं है, आपको काम हो सकता है, क्योंकि सेम डॉक्यूमेंट्स यू कैन यूज फॉर योर नेक्स्ट प्रमोशन, इसलिए और कुछ नहीं। Now the last question is, what if I could not get more than 80% score in teaching as per table 1 because of my absence due to illness? मैं बहुत बुरी तरह से इल था, मेरी तबीयत ठीक नहीं थी, मैं अटेंड नहीं कर पाया, तो कैसे मेरे उतने पॉइंट नहीं बन रहे हैं। देखिए, डरने की कोई बात नहीं है। इफ यू वेयर ऑन अ मेडिकल लीव, दैट पीरियड मे बी एक्सक्लूडेड व्हाइल कैलकुलेटिंग दिस स्कोर इन टेबल 1। आप मेडिकल लीव पे हो, आपका हक है मेडिकल लीव, और आप बीमार हो तो वो पीरियड निकाल के बाकी जो बचता है उसके बेसिस पे आपका कैलकुलेट होगा। इसी तरह से मोर ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ मैटरनली लीव, पैटर्नली लीव, चाइल्ड केयर लीव, सीएल, ईएल, ईओएल, सैबेटिकल लीव, गवर्नमेंट डेपुटेशन, ये सारा का सारा उसमें से आप हटा सकते हो, और इट विल नॉट बी कंसिडर्ड इन योर कैलकुलेशन। तो इसलिए आप यदि जानबूझकर ही आप नहीं जा रहे हो कॉलेज, तभी आपका स्कोर 80% से कम आएगा, अदरवाइज तो होगा ही नहीं। या फिर आप सन्यासी ले लिया आपने, तभी होगा कि रिनंसिएशन जिसको बोलते हैं, तभी आपका पॉइंट वो आएंगे नहीं, अदरवाइज तो कोई ताकत आपको पॉइंट कम नहीं कर सकती, वो तो आपका हक समझ लीजिए बात। या विदाउट एप्लीकेशन आप यदि एब्सेंट रहते हैं तभी। सो दैट इज ऑल। अब एक मजेदार बात मैं आपको बताता हूँ, फन फैक्ट इसी के बेसिस पर। द क्राइटेरिया सेज दैट जॉइंट पब्लिकेशन की बात है, वो बोलता है कि यदि आप फर्स्ट ऑथर हो, प्रिंसिपल ऑथर या मेंटर हो, या करस्पॉन्डिंग ऑथर हो, तो आपको 70% मार्क मिलेंगे, है ना। अब मान के चलिए कि एक पेपर आपका आपने लिखा है जिसमें फर्स्ट ऑथर आपका स्टूडेंट है, ठीक है, उसका काम होगा, उसके पीएचडी का काम होगा, कुछ होगा। जो सेकंड स्टूडेंट है वो करस्पॉन्डिंग ऑथर है, हाँ? और आप जो है दोनों के टीचर हो, आप दोनों के मेंटर हो, और आप थर्ड ऑथर हो, यानी कि फर्स्ट ऑथर इज एंटाइटल्ड फॉर 70%, सेकंड ऑथर who is corresponding author, he is also entitled for 70%, और आप जो कि थर्ड ऑथर हो लेकिन आप मेंटर हो, प्रिंसिपल हो, तो यू आर आल्सो एंटाइटल्ड फॉर 70, यानी कि तीनों को 70% दिया जाए, 30% किसी को नहीं। Indeed, answer is indeed this can be entertained and claimed. However, a student not is a claimant for promotion under caste. Student थोड़ी caste के लिए अप्लाई करेगा। Then in the same category as guide करेगा तो प्रोफेसर के लिए करेगा। स्टूडेंट यदि है उसी डिपार्टमेंट तो हो सकता है कि वो कैटेगरी लेवल 1 से लेवल 2 के लिए, यानी कि एक ही कैटेगरी में दोनों का टसल होने वाला नहीं है। फिर भी मोर ओवर द चांसेस ऑफ ऑल थ्री ऑथर्स वर्किंग इन द सेम इंस्टीट्यूशन एंड अप्लाइंग फॉर द सेम प्रमोशन अंडर सेम कैटेगरी आर हाईली अनलाइकली। नेवरदलेस, इफ सच केस इज देयर, though extremely rare, the benefit of 70% marks points could be given to all the claimants. उस केस में देना पड़ेगा तीनों के तीनों, ऐसा मेरा इंटरप्रिटेशन तो है। So friends, what we are all missing is our classrooms all these days, and I thank you for your kind and patient hearing. Thank you very much. Over to you, Administrator Sahab.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your well-researched and informative address. There are some questions. Few questions are there. Can we take the question session?
Only few questions you can take, madam.
Okay. So there is one question from Manish Kumar Sinha. He want to ask that please tell about those research papers or articles or chapters in books published before the listed of journals of UGC which came into being. Will they be included?
Sir, if your promotion is due within this span, वो जब से पब्लिश है ना तभी से, यदि वो लिस्ट तो एबोलिश हो चुकी है, मेरे ख्याल से 2-3 साल हो गए उसके लिए, तो यदि उस टाइम पे जब वो फोर्स में नहीं थे वो है तो वो पुराने रूल से ही कैलकुलेट होंगे, आपको उसकी चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं है। आप यदि वो पब्लिश उस टाइम पे हुए थे और आज आप उसको क्लेम करेंगे नए रूल से, तो अभी देखना पड़ेगा कि अभी पॉइंट्स भी कम हुए उसके बारे में, तो दैट विल नॉट बी नेसेसरी फॉर यू। अभी जो पॉइंट्स है वो कम ही है, तो उसके बेसिस पे हो जाएगा सिलेक्शन। यदि आपका प्रमोशन उस टाइम पे है तो उस टाइम पे वो उसी रूल से चेक होगा, लेकिन वो पब्लिशन तब के आप नए रूल से आप सबमिट करोगे ऐसा नहीं था, क्योंकि हमने यूनिवर्सिटीज में ऐसे केसेस किए हैं। यदि किसी का प्रमोशन ओल्ड रूल्स में है तो हम उसको ओल्ड रूल के हिसाब से देखते हैं, नए रूल्स में है तो उसको नए रूल्स के हिसाब से देखते हैं। इससे किसी को अन्याय तो नहीं होता है।
Sir, there is another question from Manish Goyal. He wants to ask that if there is a WhatsApp group, but in that WhatsApp group a few students are also admin, then can we claim it?
तो मैं few students are also
admin.
हाँ वो चलता है, डजंट मैटर, वो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, चलता है। आप उसका स्क्रीनशॉट लीजिए, लगाइए, बस उसमें यही है कि स्टूडेंट और टीचर, इसके अलावा दूसरा कोई नहीं, आप एडमिन हो या ना हो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है उससे।
Okay. One question from Shipra Rani. My promotion period of stage 3 to 4 is from July 17th to July 20. Which guidelines of API should I follow?
मोस्टली जैसे हम लोगों ने यहाँ पे अप्लाई जब अपने जो सबमिट किए थे तो वी हैव यूज्ड बोथ, क्योंकि हमको इसी तरह से बताया था वहाँ के जो कोऑर्डिनेटर्स थे। यानी कि ये गाइडलाइंस यदि नागपुर यूनिवर्सिटी की बात है तो हाँ, डायरेक्शन 20 जो आई 2019 में आई है, यानी कि उसके पहले वो रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट से लागू नहीं होती है। जिस दिन आई उसके बाद से, यानी कि 1 साल के लिए वो लागू होगी, और बाकी जो पुराने से जो 2 साल का 17-18 जो है 16, 17, 17, 18 जो है, आप वो पुराने रूल से बनाइए और ये नए रूल से ये बनेगा। थोड़ी मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी लेकिन उससे आपको जस्टिस मिलेगा उससे।
There is another question like online FDP for 6 days or 7 days. It is countable or not?
कंडीशन है कि हमको वो से लेवल 1 है, लेवल 2 भी है। कंडीशन है 10 दिन का कोर्स होना चाहिए। ऑनलाइन चलता है क्योंकि MOOCs जो है वो ऑनलाइन ही है सब, लेकिन यदि 6 दिन का भी है तो उसको 5 दिन ही काउंट किया जाएगा, यानी कि ऐसे 2 करने पड़ेंगे आपको।
One more question like is there any format for the e-content?
ऐसा कोई फॉर्मेट तो मेरे ध्यान में नहीं है कि कंटेंट का कोई फॉर्मेट है, लेकिन वो काफी इनोवेशन के फील्ड में आता है, इसलिए उसके बारे में थोड़ा सर्च करना पड़ेगा आपको। ऐसा कोई फॉर्मेट तो किसी कॉम्पिटेंट अथॉरिटी से अभी तक आया नहीं है।
As a reviewer of a peer review journal, can we claim?
Actually, being reviewer is rewarding. Unfortunately, there is no category for this in the guidelines. जैसे कि गाइडलाइन में रिव्यूअर के लिए कुछ नहीं है। इनफैक्ट वो रिसर्च के डोमेन में अभी वो कुडोस करके एक साइट है, पता नहीं आप लोग होंगे उसमें, तो वहाँ पे रिव्यूअर्स करके रिव्यूअर को क्रेडिट अभी पीपल स्टार्टेड रिकॉग्नाइजिंग देयर। सो जो फोर्थकमिंग अमेंडमेंट्स होगा यूजीसी का, उसमें ये बात जरूर ध्यान में लेंगे वो कि रिव्यूअर भी है आप जर्नल्स के, तो दैट विल बी गिवन क्रेडिट, बट एज ऑफ नाउ देयर इज नो सच क्रेडिट।
Last question, sir. Does participation in webinar counts according to the new guidelines?
As long as you are participant, क्योंकि ये unprecedented situation है, I think that you can claim this, क्योंकि ऐसी सिचुएशन में कोई होने वाला नहीं है कॉन्फ्रेंस, और वहां भी जाके आप कुछ नहीं, बट वेबिनार्स होंगे and you can definitely claim. I support this.
Thank you once again, sir. Thank you very much for answering the queries of the participants. Now I invite Dr. Sameer Naim to propose vote of thanks.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Very good afternoon to all. On behalf of the organizers of this webinar, I express and extend my utmost gratitude to the resource person of today's webinar, Dr. Kirti Kumar Randive. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation and for being with us. All of us who attended this webinar have immensely benefited from your effective and informative presentation. Participants' comments in the live chat applauding and appreciating your presentation is a clear proof of how much they liked and enjoyed your presentation. Thank you once again, sir. I would also like to thank both the principals of the organizing colleges, Dr. D.V. Naik of Dr. M.K. Mate College, Nagpur, and Dr. Shribara Deshpande of Shri Niketan Arts Commerce College, Nagpur. Without their support, efforts, and guidance, this webinar would not have been possible. I thank all the participants for your overwhelming response and active participation. I thank our technical support team, Mr. Apurva Pal and Mr. Dheeraj Pandey. Finally, the most important announcement that every participant of a webinar eagerly awaits for, the feedback link will be posted in the Telegram group. All those who had registered for this webinar, they must fill in and submit the feedback form to get their e-certificates. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much, sir.
Dheeraj?
Sit.